I'm Ricardo. I'm one of the founders of the studio, and my roles are primarily production, game design, story writing. I'm a coder, but I don't code as much these days.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly creating and designing the story and the gameplay. That's my major thing.
Okay. When did you found the development team?
It was 2006, maybe. We actually had a different company with exactly the same team, but then that company went bankrupt, and we started a new company. This one back in 2009. So
Okay.
yeah, we've been working together for a long time.
Okay. Awesome. Well, firstly, for those who will be watching this video, haven't had a chance to play the game, can you tell us a little bit about Those Who Remain and what kind of experience gamers can expect?
Sure. So Those Who Remain is a psychological thriller. It's not the usual horror game based around jump scares. We tried to avoid the jump scare moments here. We wanted to create a scary atmosphere, a tense atmosphere. But it's not just a ghost story. We have like two main mechanics here. Just explaining them very briefly. One of them is that the player can't go into the dark. There are some creatures there that will attack the player if he steps close. So the player always needs to find a light source to scare these creatures away. And the other mechanic is that the player needs to travel through a different reality. That's like a twisted version of our own world.
Yeah.
And it has three different endings based on the player's choices, because the whole premise of the game is choices and consequences. So we want the player to feel the weight of choice too.
Awesome.
This is a very quick elevator pitch.
You sold it to me.
Good.
So, as you said there, the game is a psychological thriller / horror. But from that 30-minute demo which I played, I didn't actually realize I actually played that EGX
Yes.
a while ago. It was only when I played the demo last week that I remembered those horrific enemies that seem to just distort everything and make you feel really uneased. And I was desperately trying to find some sort of light source to get rid of them. But there was also elements of kind of puzzle, problem solving, and also I like in the way that when you search for items, it's very much kind of point and click style. You have to kind of like open the drawers and search for various keys and stuff. With all those elements combined, would you say that Those Who Remain is quite a unique game because of all of those elements combined?
Well, I would say so. When we started the game, we wanted to make something that felt different. We didn't want to make just another walking simulator. And I'm saying this, I like to play walking simulators, but we feel that many players like to interact more with things and have more action on what's going on. So. Of course, it's not very easy to create a game that's entirely new or that has revolutionary mechanics, but it's possible to get and combine different mechanics that, when combined, they end up giving a fresh experience. So, answering the question, I think that all the mechanics that we have here end up feeling quite unique to the player.
Absolutely. Moving on to the backdrop, the setting of where the game is. This town known as Dormant. Very eerie from what we've seen so far. I'd certainly want to live there.
Me neither.
It makes quite a perfect backdrop for obviously what you guys have created. But was there any inspiration from like your local town or a town close by that sort of inspired the look of it?
Luckily, no. No, there are a few inspirations, mostly for the setting. I'm a huge fan of Twin Peaks and Stephen King too. Many of his stories take place in small American towns, just like Twin Peaks does. The small American place that looks peaceful and beautiful, and then it has all the dark secrets underneath, and the people all have these things going on, and it's kind of the same environment that we are trying to create here. It's a modern setting that can. It's possible to arrange all kinds of things in there.
Yeah, sounds cool. Also, we've got obviously the protagonist that we'll be following, who is Edward, I believe.
Edward, yeah.
So you kind of briefly mentioned earlier that the decisions that gamers make will have an impact on Edward's journey, and you've got multiple branching outcomes. What are the challenges from a developer's perspective, and also the rewards of creating a game with such a vast array of sort of plots and plot twists and narrative directions?
Well, of course, it's more challenging, not just because we need to make a lot more assets, but because we have to plan all the conversations and how everything is going to impact the future of the and the more advanced levels. But it's also very rewarding. I would say in two ways. One, because the game obviously gets more complex and immersive, so it's a much more enjoyable experience to the player. And then because it's really fun for us to see the players going through the game and seeing which option each player chooses, and seeing, okay, this guy is going to get the bad ending, that guy's going to get the good ending. So it's very cool. It's a thing that we started with this game, and that we're probably going to do in all our games now, because I think it's very important, so that the player feels that he's not just going through a story, he's writing his own story, you know.
Yeah, that sounds cool. So we've also briefly mentioned Dormant's otherworldly side, the dark side where everything's kind of twisted and turned upside down. And again, not somewhere I would like to visit anytime soon. So can you tell us a bit more in detail about this side of the game and how it's going to impact Edward throughout his journey?
Sure. Without going into spoilers, this other world is like a twisted version of our world. Everything looks very similar, but very different at the same time. What I mean is that the same objects are in the same places, but they look different. But what this means is that when the player interacts with an object in one world, he affects the other. So many times the player will need to go through both worlds in order to find a piece of a puzzle or to solve something in the other world. So this adds an extra layer of complexity to all the gameplay in the game.
Awesome. Camel 101 has ventured into fantasy and sci-fi horror genres in their games in the past. I can tell from the wall behind you, you're quite a horror fan. With the head and the Kruger claw there. I certainly feel if someone tries to enter your house and burgle you're fully equipped for any sort of scenario there.
I believe the burglar would probably run away if you saw my stuff.
So we obviously looking at the games you guys have made in the past on the fantasy and sci-fi elements. What made the team want to explore a more modern day type game, and how does that compare to the development of your previous projects?
Well, just like you said, our 3 previous games were sci-fi. Our last project was sci-fi horror. Obviously, we are big fans of sci-fi too. But after, I don't know, 7 or 8 years doing sci-fi games, we felt that we needed to try something different. And because we feel that it's important to try different settings, different timelines, regions, etc. So after brainstorming a bit, we decided with a small Americana horror. Like I said, it was inspired by a few shows in movies, and we just went through it. Regarding development, it was a bit different because when we are creating a sci-fi game, we can just create a weapon, an environment, and we can just say, okay, it's our story, it's our own galaxy. Everything works here. In the modern real day setting, we have to do a lot more investigation and research. We have to see if the license plates make sense, if the phone numbers are good, if the buildings look like real American buildings, if the roads are good, if everything goes, if it looks real. So it's a bit more complex, but it's also fun to investigate all these things. But yeah, that's the major difference. Jumping from a sci-fi setting to a modern day real thing.
Yeah. Have you guys found it easy to move from that sort of style of gaming to the next in terms of development?
Yeah. It was easy. We're probably going to do a jump again in our next game. Like I said, we want to try not changing the genre of the game, but the settings, you know.
Yeah. Another question I did want to ask. It's obviously quite a topic at the minute with the coronavirus. I'm sure it's affecting you just as much as it's affecting us. We have no idea what's going on. We just know that we'll probably be in lockdown at some point, and we'll all be eating out of tin cans.
Yeah.
How is that affecting you guys at the minute? Is everything on track with the game? Are you guys pretty much in a place where you want to be leading up to launch? Essentially, are we expecting everything to go as planned?
Yeah. So far, yet. Our team internally, we've been working like this remotely for since 2006. So it's not a big change. But honestly, I think everything's going to be okay with the release. But nowadays,
you never know.
It's impossible to say exactly for sure. But let's see. Hopefully, everything's on track. Yeah.
Awesome. And when people do pick up the game and leading up to the launch, what advice? Obviously, no spoilers, but what advice would you give to gamers stepping into those who remain? Any top tips or any best approach to how they should start the game and go on their journey?
Well, this game is very easy to pick and to start playing. It's not. It doesn't have complex things to learn. We like to think of it like a first-person adventure with horror-ish elements.
Yeah.
So my only advice is to enjoy the experience, evaluate and think about what the player would actually do in a real-life situation, and so stay away from the dark. And also explore everything, open all the drawers, check everything, because there are a lot of clues here and there that will help the player understand what's going on and what he needs or should do.
Yeah, definitely. I think from the demo, I even there was a few moments where I'd go to a certain area where I think it's kind of pretty straightforward. I'm thinking of the Christmas lights for example. And I was looking at the Christmas lights and thinking, okay, they need to turn on, but how am I turning on? So I kept going back and forth between the real world and the dark world, but all I had to do was basically just click and plug them in.
And plug them.
It's like a half an hour demo, which I turned into like an hour. But we got there in the end. But it was a really enjoyable demo. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have got for us in the full game. Can you just let us know what platforms it's going to be on and when it's launching?
Sure. It's going to be on PC, Xbox One, and PS4 on May 15. And later on during the summer, it's coming for Switch too.
We hope you enjoyed that interview, guys. Remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, check us out on social media, and also check out the Fanatical blog for the latest news. And let us know if you're going to be playing the game next year. Bye for now.